It's easy for you to say chill out, cornbread, because you're not the one who came here yesterday and sat down and had a conversation, an important conversation for 3 hours and 40 minutes of your day that you are excited about sharing with people. And because somebody else who's in charge of audio and video didn't tell you a critical step, the entire video file is unusable. Okay. So
But you still have the audio.
He still has the video.
that's
So
fine.
so your excitement of being
but
able
do
to
you
share should still be there.
Do you understand
Are you
that
no longer excited?
this is we have a YouTube channel, which
Yeah.
means we need video?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the YouTube channel ain't shut down. We can do more videos.
Yeah, but that video is ruined.
Boo boo. It's not ruined. It's just a video of James Ward the whole time. That's fine.
You look so beautiful.
Don't.
You are the one thing that's saving me from going ballistic.
Do you want me to tell everybody what happened last night?
Your beauty is the thing.
Hear it. Tell it.
So last night,
Welcome to the podcast, Biscuit. We're glad to have you back. The
Thank
people
you.
missed you last week.
yeah, work's been crazy. So last night, he's already been kind of on edge and stressed the last few days. And then last night he comes in the bedroom, pacing around, rubbing the top of his head, blinking a bunch. And I was like,
You can do that when you're bald head. You
I was
rub
like,
the top
what
of your
is
head.
wrong with you? He said, the 10 millimeters missing. Like it was just some kind of horrid thing that happened. And I was like, well, where'd you put, like you misplaced it, obviously. And he's like, no, somebody stole it. And it just began, I'm not joking, like a 2-hour long saga that went to like 10:30 at night, where he just kept looking in all the same places over. He looked in the desk drawer beside the bed 6 times. The drawer's like 16 inches wide.
I don't
He
even
kept-
think you could fit that pistol in
no,
that drawer.
he kept opening that drawer and looking, and then he would shut the drawer and sit back and just blink a bunch and then continue rubbing the top of his head. And I kept saying, I don't think anyone stole the gun. I think you put it somewhere and forgot. You just need to go to sleep and we can figure it out tomorrow. And then he would get up and go pace around the house like 6 or 7 times. And it was just a disaster.
When did I finally stop? Like
I got sass with you, like 10:30.
10:30 probably. I finally
Yeah.
stopped looking for it.
I found it this
well,
morning.
look.
He had put it on
Well,
top of
the
the
problem-
sheet cabinet.
The problem is, I don't have children or other people in my house for a reason. All right. And it is because I like to have guns laying all about my house in case somebody ever was to come up in on me. I want to have access to a gun. Right. And obviously there's always a gun beside the bed. And there's people that come into our house that are mentally ill. All right.
Other than me.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really mentally ill people that come into our house. And then I just get to thinking, well, one of these mentally ills has took this gun, because I remembered Brooke put all the guns up because we had a party at the house and kids was coming. All right. I'm already in disagreement with that. If it was up to me, a kid wouldn't be allowed in my house. They could come out and play in the yard, but while they was there, they're not coming inside because there's adult things in the house, right? And it's not on me to put up things from them kids. So they can stay outside. I'll even build them a kennel or a tree house that they could stay in while they're over and play Barbies and stuff. So Brooke had put, but
I love how nobody's going to comment on the fact that you just said you'd build a kennel for the kids. Everyone just decided to ignore that comment.
But she did what she did what the world will say is a responsible thing, and she put up all my guns, right? Well, generally I have a rifle by the bed, and so she had put my rifle up, and I came into bed and noticed my rifle was gone. So I went and got that 10 millimeter because if I don't have my rifle, that's what it's got a light on it and everything. I put it right there beside the bed. I distinctly remember putting that by the bed. And I have no recollection of moving it.
I put that thing up there when we were over there.
Look at him blinking.
Are you serious?
No.
Got him.
I had no and you have to understand something too, though. You have to understand
Started blinking again.
when Brooke is having these kids and stuff over, and she puts them guns up, you have to understand that already ticks me off. That there ain't that there ain't guns in the normal places, right?
I can tell Corn's about to rip you a new one once you get done talking. He's over your crap today.
So yes, and so I had no record. I remember distinctly putting that pistol there, but then I had no recollection of moving it anywhere. So she usually is the one that moves them. Ticks me off big time. But then I asked her, and she's like, "I haven't touched that gun." Well, then I'm like, okay. Well, the gun's gone. It's not on my nightstand anymore. I'll start going all over the house looking in all the obvious places that it would be. It's nowhere. So by the end of last night, I had arrived at the conclusion that one of these mentally ills has took this gun.
Hey, easy.
What?
Just be nice.
Well, I am being nice.
No, you're not.
Look, some people are mentally ill for a portion of their life. And that was my, and see, but see, there ain't been that many people in the house either. So I had deduced it down.
50 people there the other day.
I know.
No, I had brought that pistol out after that party was over. I had deduced it down. And so then I was in my head like, oh gosh, I hope they didn't really take that pistol, man. But I had about deduced it down to that's what had happened to it. Because I had no recollection of moving that thing. And yeah, I mean, I was going all over. I was calling people. I started to call Blake.
Yeah, he said it was 10:30 something. And he said, I'm going to call Blake. I said, why? He said, well, Blakely was in the house yesterday. I said, what are you talking about? Like, what would Blakely have done? Like, I was like, you need to go to bed.
Well, then I started when I had figured that somebody had stole that thing, then I started thinking of everybody who had been in the house in the last 2 days.
Well, so Boo, we have a rule that we don't abide by that should be a rule for you. Nothing productive for you happens after 9 o'clock. Your brain just goes to mush. I don't know if it has to do with your traumatic brain injuries or something, but we've had many arguments that didn't make any sense. Last night you were out of your mind looking for this gun. After 9 o'clock, you don't need to do anything unless it's an emergency. What's Chili doing?
Don't worry about it.
Chili's got an issue. Maybe we can discuss Chili's issues here in a little bit. But
Chili's got his voting card in front of him.
you finally got me to calm down and come to bed, and then tell him what happened this morning.
I went and found the gun where you had put it on top of the sheet cabinet.
Yep. This morning, she gets up. She says, well, here it is right here. Well, I have no recollection of putting it there. It's like my brain is just devoid of the any recollection of putting it up there.
It's dangerous.
No, I'll tell you what's dangerous. Having kids and strangers in the house, that's what's dangerous. Because if you don't have kids and strangers in the house, you can just set everything one way and leave it. Right? But when the kids and strangers are coming in and out of the house all the time, then you're having to move stuff, put stuff up, put stuff back.
It's kind of like getting new audio equipment and you having to unplug and plug up new stuff and change things around. You know what works good is just to have one setup and not change it. And it just works.
Yeah.
Look at him.
That's what's good.
Yeah.
So make everybody else adapt to how you can be, how you want to be, because you're not adaptable. That's what needs to happen.
Bilp.
Me too.
Good
It,
night.
it ain't my job to adapt to other people. If you're coming up in my space, you got to adapt to me if you're in my space.
Can we talk about Thomas Jefferson? Because I
Hey.
have some things to say.
I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me.
You just Jesus juked you, boo boo. Did you see what happened? You got slapped upside the head with
Hit him with something, Corn. You got something. Hit him with it.
I'm just letting him roll on, Bubba. I'm gonna let him have his day. He needs it.
Well, the whole thing with this gun is I could care less if the gun got stolen. I could have cared less. But if somebody would have took it to have potentially done themselves harm with it,
Right. Yeah.
then it's a problem. And that's the whole reason I was so, upset about it and so frantic about it. Because then I'm thinking, if that is what happened, well, like, we need to call people and talk to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
So it really, the whole frantic part of me was all, I mean, all kidding aside, it was because I cared about this person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. It does.
That's why it was driving me crazy. If I would have just thought like, oh, the freaking guys were in here working on the AC or something, and one of them might have picked it up and stole it, I'd be like, well, whatever,
Right.
because but that's why I was getting so daggone worked up, boo boo.
That's okay.
Yes, but you, in all of your magnificent beauty and intelligence, you came in, saved the day. I mean, I don't know what I would do without you.
I love you so much.
I'm going to show you so much affection today.
I'll leave. I'll walk out. Go ahead, make this that show, and I'll leave.
And I'm right behind him, Bubba. And I'm turning the light off.
Yeah.
I might mess the podcast up. I might do that anyway.
All right. Can we talk about Thomas Jefferson now?
Yeah. Well, what do you want to say about him?
I was listening to a podcast about. Oh, do you want to do announcements first?
No, go ahead.
I was listening to a podcast, and I think I already knew this, but it really stuck the other day. And then I was reading a article and how Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. I know you guys already know this. I've just been thinking about it. All men are created equal. It was like supposed to be a Christian foundational thing. He was a Christian.
No, what?
Nope.
Oh, I thought he was.
No, Thomas Jefferson was not a Christian.
Oh, well, the article I read was wrong. Well, then I might. Okay, so tell me if this stuff is true. He was one of the largest slave owners at the time. Is that
I
true?
believe so, yeah.
And then that he also had babies with his slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and he was married.
Yeah.
There's rumor of that.
And I was like,
that's true.
this dirtbag.
But
He's
that-
a dirtbag. And he started one of the founding fathers that's celebrated in history when you're in elementary school and they talk about Thomas Jefferson. He's like the best guy ever. He was a dirtbag.
That was actually fairly common for white slave owners to actually have children with their female.
You know what
slaves.
else is common? Being a transgender. But that don't mean you're going to do
No,
it.
I'm not. Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not
I don't-
saying that
it's
it's right.
wrong.
I'm not saying that it's
It's
right
wrong.
at all.
I'm just saying that I think the founding fathers, I was taught in elementary school, middle school, and high school that they were all like these amazing fellows,
Oh,
who
yeah.
founded the country on the foundation of Christian values. No, a lot of them were dirtbags. The more I learn, I'm like, no, some of them were mentally ill, and a lot of them were dirtbags. That guy was a dirtbag.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah.
wrote our freaking Declaration of Independence.
yeah.
So we were
It's-
doomed from the beginning, is what I'm telling you.
It's really odd the way that slave owners viewed slaves back then. They really viewed slaves as a subhuman species. They didn't view them as on the same level as a human being.
But they would
which-
have sex with
Yeah,
them.
exactly. I mean,
So, what is that?
It's
I don't-
it's weird, man. Like that. Yeah, they had
Yeah.
some weird crap going on, man. for sure.
Some evil crap
Yeah.
going on.
But most of the history that we hear about people who have been put forth by the writers of history as these magnificent people, most of it's inaccurate. I
Right.
mean, I've heard Cornbread mention before about Abraham Lincoln.
He's a tyrant, dude.
Abraham Lincoln was mentally ill. He had like some major issues.
His wife was mentally
No,
ill.
he was too.
I just heard Cornbread talking about how, what did you say, CB? He had journalists jailed
Oh yeah, all over the country.
Yeah, the
for
ones that talked about him and his boyfriend too. He had jailed.
Yeah, true.
Wait,
Yeah.
Dead serious.
He was
Yeah.
gay?
Wow, potentially. So was
Yeah.
Richard Nixon, but we'll talk about that
But
later.
anyone that was making a ripple in opposition, making any type of sense, speaking in any reality, he would have them jailed.
and that was during the Civil War primarily.
Right before it and during it. Yep, absolutely.
So
That's worse than what we got now.
At 100%.
Yeah.
does
yeah.
anyone else feel ripped off that our whole childhood we were taught history? We were given like just a teeny part of the story, or the facts were kind of bent,
Yeah,
you know?
and it's even worse now. The kids that are going to school now, it's even worse now.
So how do we access accurate history?
It likely doesn't exist.
It actually contributes to why we think the world is so much worse now than it ever was, or that the country's so much worse now than it ever was, because we paint 100 years ago in the U.S. or 200 years ago in the U.S. as this beautiful time that there was so many great leaders and everything. Now, if you got the accurate history of it, you'd be like, well, good Lord, this time was terrible. And then you'd be like, well, yeah, so is now. It's really not like, that's why we think now is so bad,
Yeah.
because
History's painted so rosy.
yeah, so rosy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It is bad now, but it was bad then too.
yeah. Yeah. The history, I know you've heard this, Boo Boo. History's written by the victors. Whoever wins gets to determine what history's going to say, because whoever wins is in power, right? And that's why, that's why our view on the Civil War is so skewed, is because the history of the Civil War was written by the people who won, which is the Federalists, the Union. And most people have absolutely no clue what the Civil War was about. And I would go as far as to say, you can't even call the Civil War a civil war.
No, it wasn't.
You can't even call it that, because you had a group of states who broke away from the Union and formed their own confederacy, essentially their own nation of independent states. So then you had at that point citizens of two separate nations fighting each other
Right.
for victory.
Yeah.
And so it's not like the Union was still the Union and people were fighting within the same country, but that's the way the victors wrote it, because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that the Confederacy was formed and legitimized as a separate nation of states.
All the way up to, they say, the United States was founded in 1776. Well, that United States didn't exist during the Civil War. So we're only as old as it is after the Civil War, technically,
That makes sense.
because
Yeah.
all those states withdrew. We wasn't part of the same country anymore.
No, they had elections,
Yeah.
elected a new president, a new
Right.
Congress. Like, they had all their own stuff. I mean, it was a
That's interesting.
Legit
I never
nation.
thought about that.
I think that the Civil War, that conflict, if we want to call it that, because that's what history calls it, the South would have called it the War of Northern Aggression, right? Because here's the thing: when the Southern states broke away and formed their own confederacy, at that point, all they wanted was to be left alone. They did not want to move into the Northern states and conquer those states and make those states become part of their confederacy. All they did, they said, we don't like the way you guys are taxing us. You guys are taxing us to death. You're freaking using us. You're telling us how we are supposed to run our state down here. We don't like all that. We're out. Just leave us alone. And the North was the one, obviously, Abraham Lincoln and the federal government is the one who didn't like that, right? Because it divided, it took away from their control and their power. And I think that conflict was, I think, in American history, the most critical turning point of all American history.
That's where income tax came from.
I think it might be.
Yeah, it was.
Sure,
The Union did it to support the war. And they said it would be gone once the war was over. It was just temporary. But then it never went anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at what the Confederacy wanted, what they wanted was actually more in alignment with what the founding fathers visualized for this nation. Right?
The slavery thing was it wasn't the only thing, but it was a big part of it, and they were wrong for that.
100%. I mean, I would absolutely never advocate for slavery, right? And slavery was an issue, but the South, the issue was they didn't see the federal government as an entity who had the authority to tell states how to govern themselves. Right? Now, there's all kinds of ways that slavery could have went away without the Civil War. I mean, the northern states could have leveraged trade, blocks or whatever with southern states who participated in you could starve them out. You could have starved those states out by not participating in any sort of commerce with those states, right? In the surrounding states. There's multiple different ways it could have been solved. But yeah, the issue would have been the same if if it wouldn't have been slavery and it would have been the federal government saying you can't gather as a church on Sunday, or you can't drive your car or your horse and buggy down the road on a Tuesday evening. It's like the issue was the state said, you don't have the authority to tell us as sovereign states how to govern ourselves.
Absolutely.
So,
but it is pushed into especially children's head that if you think anything other than what you're taught,
you're a racist.
You're a racist.
Yep.
And you agree that slavery should have been a thing
Yep.
back when it was a thing. And economically, for whatever reason, it's even deeper than I can explain, but the feds were taxing the southern states so much it almost made it impossible for the huge agriculture industry not to have the slaves at the time. Had they just abolished them like that, it would have collapsed everything. And that was at the exact time of the Civil War, and it was doing nothing but going up, up, up.
Yeah, I mean, what those men did then, Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, all the leaders of that initiative to break away from the Union and form the Confederacy, what they did, the effort that they made, that's the same effort that we would have to make right now if we wanted to get out from under the tyrannical federal government that we are subject to right now. We would have it would be an identical effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the same thing would happen. The federal government would come after the states who broke away and formed their Confederacy, and there would be another conflict.
But this time they would just shut off our 5G and all of our water and all of our power to the areas that we were succeeding, and then control us that way.
They did that in the South.
Stop shipping food in, quit allowing trucks to bring food.
They did that. I mean, they starved the South out too. I mean,
Yeah.
just in different ways.
Yeah.
You know. But that would be our only option from getting out from under the federal government right now, because you cannot unite the country, the entire like the Union of States as it is right now. You can't unite all of those states against the federal government, because there are too many states that would want to stay under the thumb of tyranny. There are too many states that want the handouts from the federal government.
California would crumble if the federal government went away. They
Yeah,
would
well, yeah.
literally they would financially collapse in like a day.
Tons and tons of northern states would.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's very similar now to what it was back then. Yeah, they don't know, the northern states in general would not want to depart from the tyranny of the federal government. And so you can't unite the whole nation around that mission. It would have to be split. So that's not. I mean, it's probably not going to happen ever, obviously, because I believe things are moving the way they're moving, and they're going to continue marching on the way they're marching on to a one world government, because that's the times that we live in. And also, man, men just are not like they were back then. I mean, when you think about the sacrifice and the courage it took for the men who led that effort for the Confederate States, like, there just ain't men willing to make that kind of sacrifice anymore.
Yeah, and the soldiers, the actual soldiers, not speaking of the generals, the soldiers that fought on the Confederate side weren't fighting to keep slaves.
Yeah.
They were fighting because there was an invading force burning their houses to the ground.
Yep.
That's why they were fighting. Those dudes didn't have slaves. I mean, there might have been a few that was
Very
associated.
small percentage.
Yeah.
Poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
own
Well,
slaves. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's disingenuous to act like, and you've been careful to say that was a part of it, but the central issue was slavery to why the Confederacy formed, period. And I don't think that because I was taught that in school. I think that because of what freaking Jefferson Davis and all of them wrote and gave speeches on. Like Corn said, the dang economy in the South slavery was interwoven into it. And there was rumblings that because the people in the South, like Jefferson Davis, viewed it as a moral crusade from the North, that they wanted to start pulling back on slavery. And they said, well, you can't just pull the rug out from under it. It'll crash our economy overnight if you just stop it.
Right.
So Davis said way before Lincoln even came on the scene, like he would give speeches and defend the right to own slaves in the South and everything. And then once Lincoln came on the scene and was really talking about getting elected and taking it over, they said, bump that. So that was the central issue. Now it's more complex than that. And there were other issues, but like Corn said, then you have a war where a lot of the people fighting were just literally protecting their own dang homes.
Yeah. The majority of them.
I mean,
they were protecting their state.
Yeah.
They were fighting for their state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but a lot of like Jefferson Davis, I mean, Robert E. Lee, there's a lot of weird stuff about him and what he said, but Jefferson Davis, I don't know. I mean, he led that charge and became the leader of the Confederacy, and that was his central issue. I mean, he had talked about it for years. So that is a big part of it. It's the central part of it, but it was a really weird issue because, like you said, can you call it a civil war? Well, it's almost akin to the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trying to separate from, they were a part of the Union, and then they were trying to basically separate, and they didn't, I mean, it was the war of Northern aggression. The South just wanted to leave the North and start their own thing. And then the North, weren't having it. So the war was fought as a result of trying to keep. I mean, it was more like the Revolutionary War.
Had there not been slavery at the time, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Had there not been slavery.
Right.
So because of slavery,
Yeah.
that is why it happened.
Right.
So,
But
had there not been slavery, you don't think there would have been some other issue
Probably.
that would have forced it to happen?
Yeah, I mean, but we could go for days talking about what that
Yeah,
was.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's what I believe. If had there not been slavery, there would have been some other issue as the federal government continued to push and push
Yeah.
and push and impose their will upon these. And I say sovereign states. Is that? I mean, that when did states lose their right to secede from this union?
That's a strange issue.
Yeah.
I mean, because in a way,
I don't know.
Well, that was never going to be cool. Like once from the founding, that was gonna, like, you just have to understand, just call it human psychology and human behavior, that once that started to happen, because you're rolling on fine with that, anytime there's rumblings about that, people are going to resist that and want to keep things like they are. So that was really never going to be okay.
Man,
But it was initially talked about in the beginning to be
a sovereign state.
But the idea of secession was basically considered traitorous from the beginning, which is hilarious because it goes against what they were literally talking about. But that's not how it was seen, even from the beginning.
You mean there were contradictions in the U.S. government?
Yeah, well,
That's
that was
crazy.
contradictions in how they thought, for sure.
Insane.
Well, if you do much reading about the politics, early politics, shortly after the Revolutionary War, I've read a few books, Washington, A Life. I've read Thomas Jefferson's The Art of Power. I've read the John Adams book. I've read quite a few centralizing around the politics post-Revolutionary War, and the state governors would literally tell the president to freaking kick rocks, man. I mean, there were so many governors of states who would flat out tell George Washington, and John Adams was a Federalist too, like straight up would just tell them, no, screw you. Like,
and they got away with it?
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, they would, the states saw themselves as sovereign entities who are responsible for leading themselves and their state. And yeah, they would straight up just tell them, screw off. We don't freaking need you for anything. Right. But the federal government got so big that over time, states lost their ability to tell the federal government to kick rocks because states started becoming more and more dependent on funding and projects and things like that was being handed out by the federal government. So now states won't do that because the federal government has economic leverage over the state.
Well, they take most of our money. So like even with these disaster relief things where these states like North Carolina has to apply to the federal government for these whatever they're called, not a grant, you know what I'm talking about, like relief money. It's like, well, they do that because we pay so much in taxes to the federal government instead of paying it to our state, and the state can take care of itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's so wrong.
Oh, people freak out too when they hear me talk about we should like dissolve the U.S. military. People freak out, man. You understand that there was not a federalized standing army for a long, long time. Even in the Civil War, there wasn't one.
Right.
It's the responsibility of each individual state to muster their own army. And it's in the interest of all the states, if there's an invading force, to come together and contribute their individual forces for this effort.
So in that model, like what you guys are talking about, where the states are a lot more sovereign and the federal government doesn't really exist, what is the point of being the United States? What's the benefit of that? in
because
this?
because of the alliance there is. You have more strength when you're allied with everyone around you who's sharing the same continent. Yeah, there's just it's just an alliance.
It sounds like more like countries than it does one country. You're saying they all have, like, Georgia's going to have its own military, Alabama's going to have its own military, and they can decide to ally with each other. Ally? Is that a word?
alliance. But it's a formal alliance. Like every state signs into it, right? And there's stipulations and there's guidelines and
But
terms to this
that
alliance.
would be the only thing tying the states together, really.
Yeah.
I just looked up this quote by Thomas Paine, and I don't have it pulled up still, so I'll butcher it. But it's he was very much an anti-federalist at the founding, and he said no state can, or nothing can be called free that has absolute power, and whether that be a royal. I can't even say that word.
Royal?
Yeah. Royal.
Tennesseans can't say royal.
Royal.
It's like I can't say peculiar.
Yeah, that power or a legislative power. He was basically calling the Constitution and the federal government that was going to be established through that a tyrant, an absolute power, and opposed it. But like you said, all of these founding fathers that we love and we talk about in history class were all for it.
The presidents are like that too, but that's a whole nother
The
conversation.
who?
Most of the U.S. presidents were also dirtbags.
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
put them up on a pedestal. But that's another conversation.
It's just interesting tying it in with everything you say, because you think the federal government has a lot of power now. I mean, my gosh, the Constitution didn't, especially in comparison to now, doesn't seem like it was setting up this tyrant state, but there were people that viewed it as that from the beginning. And then 100 years later, you've got Lincoln come into power and they fed up with it. Like I said, that what I talked about earlier was the central issue of the time, but there was the belief that the federal government was encroaching on states' rights from before the Constitution was written.
Oh yeah, yeah,
mean,
100%.
Like it's
Wait, you have to explain that.
There was a lot of heat on George Washington.
yeah, before
because
he came into power, there was.
Yeah, because he wanted a standing army.
Yes.
He was a devout Federalist.
Yeah.
Much of the federal government and the structure of the federal government being what it is today is owed to him.
Can you, Boo, you read that 17 million page long book about George Washington. Did he say, or did whoever wrote that say why he was such a
Yeah,
proud
He took a
Federalist?
complete crap on the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
Just
was
wanted
his
to-
why?
So history says he was an advocate for powerful centralized government because he saw strength in that. He didn't believe that we could continue to defend he didn't believe we could continue to defend this continent if we were not if we didn't have a centralized government with a standing army and all of this stuff.
And he had a point at the time. It's why I think it's what he wanted, what created a lot of the problems that you saw leading up to the Civil War and now of big centralized government. But at the time, for the reasons that he advocated for it, I actually agree with him. Like he made the point that we would be ran over by a nation or another power,
France,
with a centralized government that had a big army, and he was freaking correct.
Yeah.
He probably would have.
Britain was going back to get their crap in order to
Yeah,
come back.
we probably would have, but it doesn't. It makes domestic life not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like the argument, I don't think he would have laid it out in these terms, was if we don't become the large central government that dictates life in America, another power will do that. And he thought it was better if we did it. Literally. I mean, that was essentially his argument.
Yeah.
He never spelled it out in those terms, but that's what the thought was.
And it was the fastest way to show strength, like because it would have taken more time after
A long time.
after we gained independence from Great Britain for each state, and there weren't as many states either,
Right.
but for each state to get their mess in order and to form their own, state governments and militaries. And so yeah, he was looking for the quickest route to say, okay, we can show strength now here as a nation and
Because we were
defend.
really vulnerable in that time.
Yeah.
In 1776, we were vulnerable as crap. I mean, yeah. That's a weird time. Forming up a dang nation.
For sure. What announcements you got today, Blake?
I'm just going to announce the Patreon giveaway winners.
Hold on, no, we're doing that at the end of the show, buddy. We're announcing that at the end of the show.
Well, I don't have any announcements.
Well, I have an announcement.
Is there any room left in the proving ground?
Maybe a few spots.
That joker started filling up, didn't it?
Oh,
People
yeah.
started paying.
When is the proving ground?
Early February.
All right.
We got February 7th to the 9th.
February 7th to the 9th, man. If
That's
you
right.
guys want an awesome mission where you're going to, get to meet some amazing people, but do some really cool work and learn some new skills, you should come join us at the Proving Grounds, man. It's a lot of fun. We only do it once a year. It's right here in North Georgia. And I promise you, you're gonna love your time there. So if you want to get in on it, if you ain't got nothing going on and you want to train and get better, the Proving Grounds got a few spots left. Check it out. It's on the website. I can't wait for that weekend.
Do you have an announcement, Brooke?
I do. Well, Biscuit, you can talk about the race.
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm gonna pee real quick.
We have let's see, what is today? We're a month out. We're exactly a month out on November 16th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having a brain fart.
It sells out. We're going to do something.
Do something big.
Y'all aren't gonna do nothing if it
Well,
sells
we're gonna
out.
do something.
What are we going to do, cornbread?
It's gonna be big.
If it sells out, we're gonna have a race.
Dude, why don't we say that we'll race at the race, you and me, on bikes?
Against each other
Yeah, for one lap on a bike.
if we sell out.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not a good mountain biker.
One lap, so it's a
If-
4 mile
If it
lap.
sells out, me and Corn will race
Okay, on a bike.
on a bike.
I mean, this doesn't sound like that entertaining to me.
Well, then never
personally.
mind. We won't do
Well,
it.
you're not going to be in the
Well,
race,
you
nor
guys-
are you
oh,
buying a spot.
I got an idea. If
What?
I buy a kiddie pool and buy a bunch of Jello, will you
No.
guys wrestle?
No. Now you're being perverted. No.
You just that would sell out.
No. Negative.
Oh, whatever. Is so next month, 4 mile loop. You don't have to be able to run. Like if you're hiking, if you're walking, as long as you can complete 4 miles, it's all that matters. We're gonna have food trucks, stuff for kids. It's on a farm too, so there's farm animals. It's gonna be our community race. Our other race is like our go crush yourself, which you can crush yourself at this race too. But I just hope a lot of folks that wouldn't normally come to our events because they feel like they're physically limited will come to this one.
Mhm.
But still, the prizes are insane for people who are racing. I mean, I think our prize basket is like valued at like almost $2,000.
Yeah, something like that. Definitely way over 1,000.
Yeah.
All the gift
It's-
cards and everything else.
It's insane. So it's good for competitive folks to come too. But I'm just saying, if you're older, if you're nursing an injury, if you're just getting into fitness, November 16th in Summerville, Georgia. It's on Ultra Sign Up. It's called the Mountain Mama Farms Classic.
Link it in there, Blake. Do your job.
Can you believe how good of women we have, man? Like,
Yeah, because Chili's wife, Courtney, also known as Junie, also known as Coco, is me and her race directing this together.
yeah, and when they put something on, you know it's gonna be good.
Well,
It's
and
gonna be
Kate
big. We got
and-
150 people.
and Caitlin's
already in it.
doing the all the stuff for the kids.
Yeah, I
Blake's
mean,
wife Kat is doing all
our
the stuff.
women are
3
just-
women.
Our women are just. They can do so much better than us, man.
Yes, we
Can you imagine if it was me and you putting this race on, dude?
Actually, I can. We did it once.
Yeah, you did a 50K. It went well.
Well,
I mean, I can imagine we did it.
yeah, we did, but I feel like we had some help. I mean, we had help.
Yeah, we had
We had a
help.
lot of help. I'm just saying, if it was just like me and you,
Oh, you mean with no help?
yeah, I mean, it would be, it wouldn't, it'd be running, and that's about it.
It'd be like your bike race coming up.
Yeah, yeah. No, we got good women, man. What a blessing. That's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah, you
Um,
still owe me a video from that race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boo, you're picking the route. I cannot.
Well, we got to
get
finalize the
Chili.
route.
I cannot get Chad to promote that race on Instagram.
It's okay. We've got to finalize the route. The route's picked.
You know what? I
Gotta
tried. I
finalize it.
tried to give Chili my Instagram login a while back.
He
and I-
loves this story. He didn't really try, but he loves the story.
No,
Continue.
I did. I was like, Chili, why don't you just, log into this Instagram where you can, and let Courtney or whoever just promote these races and stuff, right? However you want to use it. He wouldn't log into it, and I know why he wouldn't.
He didn't even give me his phone or tell me his credentials. I mean, I don't look.
But anyways, it doesn't sound like you really need to promote it. You got 150 people signed up.
Yeah, but we're trying to get more than that. We're trying to get at least 50 more people because if it sells out, we're going to do something.
Right.
Corn's
Gonna
going
do
to
something big.
Corn's going to
Wrestling.
eat
They're gonna
dog food in a
wrestle
kiddie pool
if
or
it sells.
something.
Y'all
Eat
re-
dog
y'all-
food in a kiddie pool. Oh,
No.
swallow a goldfish. Will you swallow a
I'll
goldfish?
swallow a goldfish.
You would?
Yeah.
Live.
But now it can't
Ugh.
be one of those big fat koi with the bug eyes. Those goldfish with the bug eyes. I ain't swallowing that.
That'd be the
Is-
opening
I'll swallow
ceremony.
it. I'm not
The
gonna
opening
eat it.
ceremony would be Corn reaching in a bowl and swallowing.
That
Pete-
starts the race.
PETA would be all over it. Wait, that would be great.
You
What-
can't do that, cornbread. That's unbiblical, man. The
What?
Bible says you will not eat stuff with this lifeblood in it. Yeah.
So he's
I
not,
thought- I
he's
thought
not
he-
gonna. He's
I
not.
thought he was going toward Leviticus.
He's
like,
not gonna eat it.
Wait,
He's gonna
fish-
swallow
fish-
it and then spit
fish with
regurgitate it.
skin. Isn't it fish with skin or something?
Have you?
No,
have you
Fish
ever?
without scales?
You can't eat stuff with this lifeblood in it.
Have you ever seen the regurgitator?
Who's that?
I don't think I'll be watching it.
Oh, come on now.
Can we really have that happen? Like Corn
right up
swallows
Brooks
the
alley.
goldfish instead of a gun or like a go. Corn swallows the goldfish, and the go is when he goes to show that there's no goldfish left in his mouth, and he
Y'all are
swallowed
getting
it.
Carried away
I mean, I'm
now.
fine
That-
with that as long as he kills the goldfish first.
I have seen the regurgitator take a handful of coins, throw them in his mouth, and then he'll look at the audience and say, "Tell me which one to spit out," and they'll go, "The penny," and he'll go and he'll go like this with his stomach, and then he goes, and then it's back in his hand, the penny.
Oh, that's voodoo.
Oh.
No, I'm telling you, I've
But
seen
wait,
him
does
do
he
it.
actually swallow it?
Oh yeah,
I don't believe that.
100%.
I
They
thought it's
X-rayed
under
his
his
stomach, and it was
tongue
in
or
his
something.
stomach.
She'll
They
be
proved
watching it tonight.
I would enjoy that.
He did a light bulb too.
I would really enjoy
That's flat
that.
out hazardous.
Wait, he swallowed a light bulb?
He sure did.
And he
Reg-
puked it up?
Regurgitated it up. Watched him do it.
What's the difference between regurgitating and puking?
Well, regurgitating is spitting up a foreign object. Puking is
What's the difference between spitting up and puking?
when it comes from the depths of your stomach. Spitting up can just be kind of that stuff lingering. Yep,
So the regurgitator doesn't actually let stuff hit his stomach.
he does.
Then so he's puking.
No, he's regurgitating.
Corn, is he not contradicting himself right now?
It's all voodoo.
Let's move on. It's time for.
it ain't real.
Boop, boop, boop. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Okay, so if the race sells out, Corn's gonna swallow a goldfish.
Okay,
on
back
camera.
live with KZ307.
It's about time. I've been wondering what the news is going to be this week because it's been a slow week in the news.
It has. There's like nothing, no local.
Moving over to our weather report. It is 70.
Winter is upon us.
Well, it allows next week.
Well, it's 53 degrees in Rome, Georgia, with a high of 60 today, a low of 36. Rock Spring, Wyoming, for those curious, is 48 degrees, sunny. High of 70 degrees, low of 45 in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Really?
Rock Springs,
Wow, they
Wyoming.
got now water there.
I don't know. I'm sure they do. Yeah, if there's a town there. Yeah, we're looking to move out west. Listeners, if you have any suggestions on where to move in Wyoming or Idaho,
I'm not moving.
It's a news report.
yeah.
Who's we? You and
news.
Chili?
All of us are moving.
I ain't moving
I
out there.
drove to the gym.
I told you
Trying to
Corn
get
wouldn't
the
move.
news.
Did you just hear what he said?
Trying to give the news.
Blake said he ain't moving. So
Look,
you and Chili are
the
moving?
news.
I am flat out. Chili made the most valid point this morning.
Thank you.
He said Rome is getting to the point where you have all the downsides of living in like a bigger city and all of the downsides also to living in a little bitty small town. Like
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. So like if you live in a little bitty small town, like there's really not that many places to go eat or really not anything worth
It's
doing,
the news right now.
right? And then if you live in a big city, but in that case, you don't have good places to eat and good, this and that, things to do. But at least you don't have to deal with the traffic and stuff like that, right? But in Rome, you don't have anywhere to eat. There's nothing worth doing, and you still have to now somehow over the last 2 years, you still have to sit in traffic, and there's construction everywhere, and they're putting up all these daggone apartment homes and all this crap. We ain't
But
staying here.
His main catalyst is there ain't now anything good to eat. That's his main
It's
catalyst.
the news.
And the traffic.
The traffic part's your fault because you want to get to the gym at 8:15 when it starts.
Good. Tell him, Corn.
Get to the gym at 8:05, Bubba.
Tell him, Corn.
And that traffic won't bother you a lick. I
The
promise.
news
you.
alert right now.
I
Yeah.
promise you.
Man,
That
look at
traffic
you.
won't
the
bother
news.
you a lick.
I mean, I enjoyed Rome when I first moved here, but
Is
I
that
done
Corn
about
said?
wore it out.
It won't bother you a lick.
No,
Yeah.
you're moving, Corn.
No,
That's
I'm
not an
moving out
option,
west.
Bubba.
You literally described it as nothing but a bunch of hippies and pot
That's
smokers
Colorado.
out there.
That's
People
why.
laying around
It's the
throwing
news.
trail magic all over the ground
Regurgitating
and
goldfish.
Stuff. No.
That's Colorado. We're talking about. I asked the listeners, Wyoming or Idaho.
You ain't even been to either one of them states.
why I'm
Quit
asking
talking
the
about us
listeners.
friggin' living there. Corn, we had this conversation the other day because we were fussing. I'm not leaving Stacy, Jennifer, Kelsey, Kelly, our families. No flipping way. I'm not leaving any of them. And he said, well, we're all moving. I said, who's we all? He said, all of 3 of 7. I said, Corn ain't going nowhere. He said,
Right.
Corn will go with the utmost confidence. He said, Corn will go.
He will.
Show ain't.
Could you imagine Corn on the streets of
It's the
Colorado?
news.
Mm-mm.
I seen him on the streets of Black Mountain.
And that place is a dump.
It sure enough is now.
Yeah. There you
It
go.
kind of doesn't exist anymore, at least from what I've heard.
I liked
Voodoo
Black Mountain.
town.
Yeah, it's the news. It's supposed to be the
Oh, yeah, Chili. Sorry. What was the news?
Yeah, what's going on in the news this week, Chili?
well, national
I've been
news.
out of the loop.
Give it one more try.
Well, in national news, another monolith appeared near Las Vegas.
What?
Who is behind these mysterious objects? Now, I wanted to talk about this to actually get an opinion piece. This is the news. We talk about it every week, but I actually wanted some opinion. Who could be behind these monoliths? These
What's a monolith?
oh, glad you asked. These large structures, typically made of rock, that appear in places. Now, Buzz Aldrin has said that there's a monolith on the moon, on the dark side of the moon, but we'll just ignore that. There's also monoliths appearing in Las Vegas. It's large glass structures, actually,
What?
like big glass panes.
Well, we had the Georgia Guidestones here in
Yep,
Georgia.
yep.
Is that the same thing? Is that a monolith?
Yeah, that's a monolith.
Okay, monolith.
So I just wanted to ask, could this be aliens?
I'm looking it up right now, and I'll let you know what I think. Monolith in
Other
Las
than
Vegas.
the Georgia Guidestones, I wasn't familiar that this was a
Oh, what the
reoccurring
crap?
Yeah.
thing. How long has this been
Did you
going
see
on?
this?
For years, since
Really?
2020. in the deserts of Las Vegas, there's been monoliths appearing.
And now there's one.
Bring it
made
here.
out of
Let me see
glass.
They're all a
Well,
lot
aliens can't make glass.
Oh.
So it ain't aliens.
Hmm.
They can't haul glass.
That's one of them.
It looks like a mirror skyscraper.
Aliens ain't got nothing to haul glass down
Wait.
here. Have you seen a UFO pulling a trailer before hauling glass?
Well, well, see, I have.
That's humans.
There's much speculation about UFO involvement in some of the deserts
Right.
without human explanation. I don't know. It could be the U.S. government playing tricks. I think there's going to be a large national threat in the U.S. and then a threat abroad to the entire world of some sort of an alien invasion
Hey, I know someone else who thinks that.
that then the world needs to collaborate on to combat in sort of a shelter in place order, kind of like the
Bring the world together.
yeah.
Well, and then when the government starts using drones to just incinerate us, they can be like, "Oh my gosh, it's aliens."
But anyway, just be paying attention to these monoliths.
Anyway,
There's one. There's one on the dark side of the moon. Buzz Aldrin said it. Anyway, early voting record shattered in Georgia.
Hold on. You didn't even get my opinion.
Oh, what's your opinion? It's the news. It's supposed to be
so funny.
the news.
You said this was an opinion piece.
Yeah, you didn't get my opinion either.
Well, this was an
or
opinion
Blake's.
piece. Well, I thought you wanted to weigh in, and you just chose not to weigh in. Blake doesn't want to weigh in. What do you think, Chad?
Well, I think that would be a genius plan to usher in a global effort to band all nations together under one flag. Would be a false threat from the aliens.
I agree.
And it does seem like it's being keyed up. It seemed like it's being keyed up for the last couple of years.
Yep.
So that wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Thank you for our top news opinion contributor, op-ed piece. He often writes op-ed pieces in our newsletter that goes out every week. Chad, right?
Well, I also have another opinion.
Okay.
I think that
You're only allowed one opinion on the opinion piece.
I think that these monoliths, these are humans. Humans are putting these in place.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not aliens.
But they're in the middle of the desert and they're not even dirty.
Yeah.
They're perfectly clean.
So if you go pee on one, it just
when
it
that
just,
picture was taken, it was perfectly clean.
Yeah, but it had been out there for heaven knows how long.
Oh, really? They just found it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take a trip out there and look at those things for ourselves.
Oh, I'd love to.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bust it.
I'll buy
It's glass.
I'll buy an RV today and we'll go.
You have an opinion?
yeah. Yeah, I think Bill Gates is an alien. And that is all I need to say for everything else to be explained. The monoliths, lifts. Is it monoliths or monolith?
Monolith. Roll.
Like a
roll.
LIPH?
It's a roll monolith.
Like monolith.
They're very peculiar.
Is it
kind of like
PH
it's
or
kind of
F?
TH.
Like monolith?
Monolith. It's
No.
it's kind of
Only
like
Bill Gates.
obelisk.
Yeah.
Well, in other news, early voting record is shattered in Georgia. Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada have already opened up early voting, and we're seeing record numbers at the polls. We've even had local KZ307 contributor Cornbread has offered that he would be early voting in the state of Georgia.
I'm gonna vote tomorrow.
Is this an opinion piece? Because I have an opinion.
No, it is not. This is just straight facts. Avoid the long lines on election day. Vote today. We would like to take a nonpartisan angle on KZ307 and encourage everyone to get out and vote. Early vote. Vote early, vote often. We have absentee voting, early voting, and election day voting are all good options. Republicans must make a plan, register, and vote. Oh, and Democrats must
Big Daddy Trump, baby.
vote early, vote often. So I did want to talk about voting since there's not a whole lot more going on in national news. 300,000 people have already cast their ballots in Georgia. That is 3 times what they did in 2020 on this date. What do you think about that? Opinion piece.
I think that if any of y'all listen to this, if you think that means jack squat,
Vote early, vote often.
Allow that card.
then you are a blithering idiot. If you think there's anybody that's behind the scenes actually counting up those votes and actually allowing you and I to determine who is going to be in power at the highest level of the United States government, you are a blithering idiot. That's what I got to say to you.
Corn, are you voting?
Tomorrow.
Blithering idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I don't lose my guns.
Well, no. Hey.
My wife ain't got to find my guns, Bubba.
Hey, I'm not saying that if you vote, you're a blithering idiot. I'm saying that if you think that your vote counts for anything at all, then you're a blithering idiot.
Then if you vote, you're an idiot.
No, you could just vote for fun because you want to just go out and vote.
Corn just wants that sticker. That's all he cares about.
I mean, you do get a sticker out of it, and you know,
a neat little stylus.
You know,
they give you that.
I can't wait for the season when everybody's every post on Instagram is going to be some fool with taking a selfie of themselves with their sticker that says "I vote." I can't wait for
vote
that
early,
season.
vote often.
You couldn't get Corn to take one selfie in 75 hard, but as soon as he votes, he's going to snap a selfie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So you can vote for fun. I mean, it's actually you should get some comedic relief when you vote. I mean, you should get a good laugh out of it. Go vote and think about how ridiculous it is and what you're doing, and it will. You ought to get a good laugh out of it, and we all need to laugh more. I might actually vote just to get a laugh. I was so mad today. Imagine if I was able to go vote.
Who are you going to vote for?
I kind of want to vote too, because I really do want to vote now on account of the idea that I could go vote for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an option now.
Babe, there's a really smart person on YouTube that said, "Doesn't the Bible tell us to vote?"
No. No, the Bible.
Are you sure?
It is very interesting to me of how many people will chime in on the content that I post and say all Christians should vote.
Yeah.
And I want to respond and say, thank you for your opinion. That's nice that you share your opinion. But they don't understand that that's all that is that it's their opinion. No, there's absolutely nothing in the Bible that tells you should vote. Nothing.
Civic duty. Civic duty tells you should vote early and vote often.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard the theories about, like, that's why they controlled the hurricane to destroy North Carolina, because that all the Trump
we already
folks
discussed all that.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
I
we're
take it back.
backtracking on KZ
That's
307.
old news.
Sorry.
This is the latest breaking news. But now to the past.
Did you say chemtrails? Chemtrail news?
I did not.
I would love to talk about chemtrails. If that ever can be part of the news, can it be an opinion piece?
Latest breaking news in local areas. We're going to swing over to our news correspondent, Cornbread. What you got for local news?
In Cobb County, Georgia, Big Daddy Trump had him a rally yesterday, and Marjorie Taylor Greene brought the house down, son. I watched that at the house, and she brought down the house. Back to my man, Chili.
Back to our correspondent, Cornbread, with Paulding County local news.
Oh, Paulding County, Georgia. The Paulding Forest WMA just had their recent youth white-tailed deer hunt, and 17 deer was killed on that hunt. Back to my man, Chili.
Can you imagine how many demons were released in Cobb County, Georgia?
Oh my God.
Between Marjorie and Trump?
Babe.
Dude, I'm telling you, she brought down the house.
That's uncalled for.
They're
No,
demon possessed.
You stop. Somebody make him be
Freaking
quiet.
Beelzebub is their father.
Baby, that's not funny to joke about.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I'm about sick of all y'all saying that Jesus saved Donald Trump.
I didn't say that.
I'm talking about other people. Do you know how many people I have seen say the Lord saved Donald Trump? I am about sick of hearing y'all say that.
You don't know if he did or not.
Exactly, and neither do you. Neither does anybody else. You know what? You want to look at what the Bible does say. You will know a tree by its fruit. So if you think that that Donald Trump is being used by the Lord, I want you to look back on the fruits of his life and seriously consider what are the fruits that this man is bearing.
Well, he could be being used. He just might not be following Jesus.
In a recent interview with Laura Ingraham on Fox News, Donald Trump shared his personal opinion about heaven. Religion, it gives you some hope. Gee, if I'm good, I'm going to heaven. Laura then asked the former president, do you believe in heaven? And he responded, I do. If I'm good, I'm going to heaven. And if I'm bad, I'm going someplace else, like over there, right?
Yep.
That's not good.
Yep. That's your man, Christian.
When was it, Chili, when Donald Trump said, if Christians vote for me this time, you won't ever have to vote again?
He did say that.
Yeah.
What did he mean by that?
I actually buy his explanation on that.
Go ahead.
He said, he went on to explain in an interview where he allowed that what he meant was that after 4 more years of him in office, he will fix the country, completely fix the country.
Yeah.
And what, I have water?
I think it's drool.
Oh, it might be drool, maybe water. Anyway, he said he would completely fix the country in 4 years. And he said he knows that Christians don't typically like to vote. So what he meant was, if you vote for me, you'll never have to vote again because there'll be no need to vote ever again. He didn't mean
he's going to fix it forever. It's going to be fixed for good.
Yeah.
That's what he meant.
He's going to seal it up.
He's that powerful. He's that powerful. He really is. Yeah.
I buy that.
Yeah. Filthy idolaters and man worshippers.
Heretics.
Big Daddy Trump.
They should just bring Bill Clinton back and we would all be in good shape.
Corn, when you put that daggone voting sticker on and you take that selfie, you better send that to me, man.
I might get one of them old ladies to take a picture of me.
No, it has to be a selfie.
Okay.
Because that's what everybody does, right?
Like a up high.
You better send that to me. I'm gonna post that on my story.
And get your little Facebook has that little profile circle that says I voted.
I voted.
Yeah.
I wish it'd be big.
Do you remember when we were at the re-election of Bill Clinton?
No.
Do you remember?
I wasn't there.
Neither were you, Chili. You weren't even alive.
Hold on. We didn't even get a sports segment. I wanted to hear about sports. These people tearing down this daggone.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Post.
I'll tell you.
Post. I'll go pee while we're doing sports because sports is gay.
Oh. Well, 2 weeks ago, the University of Georgia Bulldogs were defeated by the University of Alabama Crimson Tide in a raucous game that resulted in many believing that Alabama was the #1 team in the nation. A week later, Alabama traveled to Nashville, Tennessee, to play the Vanderbilt Commodores, which Nick Saban, former legendary coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, is quoted as saying that Vanderbilt is the only easy place to play in the SEC. Well, the unranked Vanderbilt Commodores defeated the Alabama Crimson Tide, and as a result, stormed the field with the players and fans. The fans tore down the goalpost, carried it 3 miles to the river, and hucked it into the river as a celebratory parade.
Yeah, that's sports news.
That's big, Bubba. That's big.
And who was it the other day that said, somebody said, well, how do you stop them from doing that?
Yeah, that was me talking. So I'm still unclear on who fined Vanderbilt $100,000. I'm still unclear on that. Anyhow, they got fined $100,000 or whatever it was for the goalposts being torn down.
Yeah.
And thrown into the river.
Well,
so you've got tens of thousands of people storming the field, tearing down the goalpost, who is going to stop all those people?
It's very easy.
From I mean,
It's very easy.
Okay.
Do you want to know how to stop a mob of people who are bent on vandalism?
Tear gas.
No. There is a machine.
Cane them.
There is a machine called a Mark 48. It is a 7.62 belt-fed machine gun.
What?
It
I
takes
can't-
him in.
you
it
can't-
takes a
you-
200-round belt of
Look,
ammunition.
Can I tell you something real quick? Can I, for real, just real
and
quick?
it thumps. when you hit
It
a when
thumps.
you hit a let a Mark 48 eat, it thumps.
Look, I'm gonna start talking. Just be quiet.
It's
for
not
just
even
baby.
and it's not even a crew
Baby.
serve weapon.
So that would be the equivalent of walking into a psychiatric ward and just starting to open fire on everybody.
no, it wasn't.
People that are in a mental illness stupor over sports are out of their mind.
This is a mob who
Yeah,
is bent
but
on vandalism.
Have you seen these fat white men at football games that normally couldn't jump to save their lives, jumping around and screaming? And something's going on.
Climbing a goalpost.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. That there's mental things happening that aren't normal. You can't just go killing folks when they're having a mental
Well,
breakdown.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you. We have a place
if that
of
was
business
my
here.
goalpost, I would have
Okay.
slaughtered all of them.
We have a place of business here in Rome, Georgia. If there is ever a mob moving this way that is bent on vandalism, they are going to get shot so full of lead when they approach this place of business, and there is going to be zero remorse from me. Zero remorse.
No, you
No.
can't.
What?
I see.
How
what
can you not?
Don't move to Nashville, bub.
How can you not?
How do you? Okay, let me ask
How do
you a
you
question.
know them people? Them people are coming to do your property harm.
Do you think they have a sign that says "We are a mob intending to
They're not.
vandalize"?
What do
You
you
don't
want
know
me-
what
next-
you don't know what the mob's gonna do.
Well, what
They
next
weren't
time-
coming to do harm.
Right? They might have just
They
been coming to hang
vandalized
out.
property.
What did they vandalize?
They tore that goalpost down and then they littered.
Yeah, they did litter.
That's hilarious.
I can't stand a litterer. But there are machines too. There are machines that have been built and designed that will severely discourage people from becoming a mob bent on vandalism.
So what's that machine gun called
Chad,
again?
He wavers between wanting the
A
state
Mark
to be
48.
So they need
completely
to
out of
set up a
things?
Mark 48 in the rafters
and then just shooting
of
everybody.
every college football
Just one.
stadium.
That's all it would take is one. Yeah. It thumps hard. And when you start, you can use the first half of that belt and you ain't even got to shoot nobody. You know, you ain't got to actually hit them with it. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, when they start hearing that thing thumping, they're going to be gone. They're going to say, nah, this mob, this don't sound like too good an idea.
Where do you shoot it if you're just going to
Just shoot it into the dirt or shoot it into the air.
into the air?
Yeah. Yeah. Just
In downtown Nashville.
or just shoot it into the dirt there.
Into the air.
Can we talk about the larger problem that is sports violence? Because I've witnessed a lot of sports violence in my day, and I think it's just a shame.
You talking like fans fighting each other?
Yeah, just any violence under the name of sports. I don't care if it's in the living room when Fred and Joe and Auburn and UGA play and they get in a fist fight over their chicken wings or something. You know,
Yeah.
like, if are you okay?
Funny.
I think sports violence is a huge problem. And my solution is to get rid of sports.
Yeah, we actually discussed that on our latest campaign video interview.
Kind of like gun violence. You get rid of guns.
Right.
Yeah, sports hurt people.
All I'll tell you is if
Sports hurt people.
all I'll tell you is if it's a Saturday in the fall and the TV's around, me and Corn are watching
If I-
football.
I ain't got now cable TV, but if I had cable TV, by golly, I'd be watching the Georgia Bulldog. Boy, you better believe it. And I'd have loved to seen Vanderbilt beat the socks off Alabama. I'd have loved to seen that.
40 to 35.
Oh, man.
You guys have never sounded so gay.
I don't see any other legitimate solution to stopping crime other than severely discouraging people to commit crime due to the really, really ugly punishment that they're going to receive if they get caught.
But who is
That was
who
gonna be my
is
question.
levying that punishment, and who is doing the discouraging? The federal government?
No, I think it should be the responsibility of local municipalities to dole that out.
Okay,
Like
All right.
militias?
I
Is
got
that
it.
what you're saying?
I got it.
Yeah, it shouldn't go any higher than the state, but yeah, if the state
The
came,
answer to everything is the state.
if the state came out and said, "Look, if you get caught stealing in Georgia, it's going to be real bad on you."
Honestly, what everybody's political arc needs to be, if you stay in politics longer than or thinking about politics longer than just a few years, well, then you probably become a politician to some level, and then you just become one of the dregs of society. Your political arc needs to last for about 3 years, where at first you think, man, everything's bad. God, everything's bad. Something's got to be done about this. And then for a year, you think about, I'd change this, I'd change this, I'd change that. And then the second year, you need to just spend telling everybody your ideas and just talking about it and talking about your ideas. Just talking, don't even listen to nobody, just talk. And then your third year, you need to act. What a normal person does is goes, oh, never mind. This is all way beyond that. And then you just need to get out of it.
I went through that full cycle.
But the people who stay in it past that, then you just become a politician, and then you just become part of the problem. So anyway.
Oh, wait till you see this new suit I got, man.
Oh no.
He looks like he belongs in the White House.
Did you go,
Dapper
did
Dan.
you went and picked it up?
Oh yeah, this new suit is straight presidential, son.
Good.
Yeah, it's legit. I'll wear it next week.
Did a speaking suit?
Yeah, it's a presidential suit.
What are you going now? Why would you need 2 suits? What you gonna do with the oven?
Well, the other suit is more of like your, if you're wanting to just look style, like look good, dapper. That's the other suit. This new suit I got is like, whoa, is that the daggone president walking up in here?
Governor, state.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it.
yeah, it's legit, man.
Did you get a hat with this one? You may want to get a hat now, Bubba.
Governor.
Yeah, I have to do some looking. Yeah, would pair nicely with a hat.
Did you tell
That concludes the news.
Dang,
Thanks,
that was
Chili.
long.
You did a good job, Chili. You always do a good job on the
Yeah, you
news,
do.
man.
Thank you.
I'm so
Spectacular.
proud of you, man.
Chili, can I request that when you use vote ballots that they're very unbiased, because that one is very biased. Like a flyer. I'm sorry. A vote flyer. Very biased. Thank you. We like to keep things unbiased here. Boo, did you tell everybody last week about how I heard you get the squirts?
No.
Will you
No.
share? Will you
People
share
did
that?
like that squirt talk, though.
Yeah.
I loved it. You tell them about it. You're the one. I haven't heard your story about it.
no, you tell it. You tell it so much better.
When I was in the throes of squirting, I went in the bathroom. We have a bathroom in our bedroom, and I thought I just had to pee. But as you know, as you begin to pee, it relaxes your sphincter. And so,
Chili looked up.
and so, as I started to pee, I realized there was going to be something coming on out the other side. And so I quickly stopped the flow, made an about face, and sat down as fast as I could on the toilet and blew out. And I actually didn't have time to close the door on the bathroom, and Brooke was just kind of right there in the bed, and she heard the whole shebang.
Do you remember that video that we circulated for a while of that guy that goes running into the bathroom stall in that park?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
Yeah, but at the end he didn't go.
No. So I yelled while I'm laying in bed and I start hearing it. I'm like, that's not what I think it is. Like, that's something. And then I kept hearing it. And so I yelled, I said, "Are you squirting?" And he did. I knew he heard me and he didn't respond. And that's when I knew.
For years, Brooke would show me this video where this dude runs in a stall and just makes the god awfulest sound, and then goes.
He was acting like it was painful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
So you got a good laugh out of that, though, didn't you?
That was
dude?
so funny. You didn't tell it quite as funny as you told it the other day, though.
Oh man, well, you know,
Sphincters. Speaking of
No,
that,
Corn, you got a Patreon question?
so no, seriously, nothing bad. This is really interesting for real. So, did you know that there? And I haven't fact checked this, but somebody smart was telling me this the other day. What is wrong with y'all?
I didn't do nothing. How come every time Chili does something, it's y'all?
You
It's
were
just
looking at me
Chili.
like this under your glasses.
you guys are turning into the same person.
melding into one.
They are. They're
dude.
turning into the same
So
person.
in Leviticus, the
By
animals,
golly, I'm not.
the animals we're not supposed to eat are animals without sphincters. Like goats don't have sphincters. And
you mean they can't
pigs.
control their poo?
correct.
They
It
just
comes
poo.
out. It comes out whenever.
Yeah.
Like there's no once it's in the chute, it's coming out. There's no controlling it.
They view those as unclean animals because they just crap all over the ground and food.
Because
and
they have no muscle to control it.
they won't go over to an area, to use the
Yeah.
restroom.
I thought that was is that not interesting? Chili, is that
that's-
offensive?
Interesting.
Nothing you've ever said is offensive.
That's interesting to us. To us. The Abraham Accords.
It is amazing that we're able to do a show like this week after week after week after week.
It's ridiculous.
How is it even possible?
I don't know.
Yeah, really.
This is the best podcast that is on the
That
podcast.
there's ever been.
Yeah, it is
I agree.
100%. It's
Yeah.
the best podcast that there's ever been.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It's definitely the realest. Corn, you got a Patreon question, and then we're going to do the Patreon giveaway.
I do. This week's Patreon question comes from Cam.
Hold on, tell the people what Patreon is.
Patreon is a platform. We have different tiers on it, where we release specific behind the scenes content. It's where Resurrected is 3 Sundays a month. Chad and Blake brings a message from out of the Bible.
Tell them, not me. I know what Patreon
I never
is.
look at that camera. I never look at that camera.
Don't tell him what to do.
Yeah, that's right. 3 Sundays a month, Resurrected, and that's basically what Patreon is. We got a giveaway coming up here.
You
soon.
got a chat room in Patreon too.
two chat rooms in Patreon. You can also direct message the team, converse back and forth.
Yeah. It's a blessing. Resurrected this past Sunday was like one of my favorites because
Yeah,
it was on a really well, I think some of the parts of it we had to really have a discussion on there about the words we were using. And I liked it because we have guys and girls on there who really know the Bible and like, we get to have these conversations that are important, and we were talking about how God, the Father, doesn't want anything, like including you. Like he doesn't want for you, right? And now it's not his will that you are not saved or reconciled unto him. That's not his will, but he doesn't have any wants because he's completely complete in himself, right? And that's like when you think about that, that can sound really abrasive and offensive. You know what I mean? Because we're important, right? Surely God wants us, But yeah, we got to kind of go back and forth with Daniel on there, and yeah, I loved it. It was a great call.
yeah, it was real good. It was real good. Patreon question of the week comes from Cam. Well, actually, he wants to hear our opinion. It's not really a direct question. Can y'all talk about this on the podcast today? I would truly like to hear y'all's opinion. So, on September the 27th of this year, the Department of Defense Intelligence and Intelligent Related Activities released to the public that they're going to start proposing this executive order, and this establishes the policy of what they're going to do. And this is under their directive 5240.01, Department of Defense. This is in assisting local law enforcement. It says, under approval of the Secretary of State, assisting in responding with assets with potential for lethality or any situations in which it is foreseeable that providing the required assistance may involve the use of force that it is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injuries. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilians and law enforcement and individuals or groups that is reasonably anticipated. So what they're saying is the Secretary of Defense can give the go-ahead for any law enforcement that asks for assistance, that the Department of Defense can supply any assets if there is a threat from civilians toward that local law enforcement agency, up to things that can cause death.
Reminds me of Waco.
Now, if you read the beforehand sections, it talks primarily specifically about getting intelligence for foreign threats, but the big part of it is at the end is against civilian individuals or groups that are reasonably anticipated as a threat. So that broadens the scope big time.
Yeah, they're gonna try to get this in under the guise of national security.
Right.
That's always the guise that they use. It's the same reason they used for the Patriot Act, where they're now allowed to freely spy on, citizens, and it's all under the guise of national security, man. And that's why people buy into it, and that's why people don't get up in arms about it, because they feel like, well, yeah, they're obviously trying to implement this executive order because we have this threat of terrorist cells in the United States who can be activated at any time, and the federal government wants to be ready and able to get spun up and go assist local law enforcement if one of these terrorist cells becomes activated. Right. That's always the guys. Now, if that sounds good, right? But the fact of the matter is, man, I don't know if any of y'all have ever considered this, but if you want to be free, like, the freer you are, the more dangerous this life is going to be. So if you want to be free, you are going to have to sacrifice, to a large degree, your safety and security. And the only way you make up for that is by becoming skilled and being able to protect yourself and the people that you love. That's the only way you compensate from that level of safety and security that you're giving up in order to maintain your freedom. I don't think that that's ever going to happen on a large scale until it just becomes if and when it ever becomes just an absolute necessity. So that, I mean, it's obvious what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, they want to make it as broad as possible, because what you don't understand is these freaking tyrants, they don't just view like your Middle Eastern Islamic extremists as terrorists like you and I do. Like when we think about a terrorist, we think about these terrorist cells who are crossing the border and, you know, coming up through, you know, and setting up operations and from you know, Middle Eastern countries. And dude, these tyrants view people like me as terrorists. They would legitimately characterize me as a terrorist.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, they want to make it as broad as possible, and to be able to leverage it against citizens of this country, because yeah, they know that if something ever happens, it might be crucial for them to be able to get spun up and do that in order to maintain their power.
Right.
You know?
Well, the interesting thing to me is, so that it was originally, before this executive order, the Secretary of Defense could approve them to help the Department of Defense to help local law enforcement collect intelligence only.
Yeah.
But that subsection right there trumps it completely up, saying that he can approve any type of asset, even to lethal force weaponry,
Yeah.
to help local law enforcement. And I find it interesting, especially after the big last election fiasco, and then the mobs that was everywhere, you know, Big Daddy Trump won, so on and so forth, the protest and whatnot, how this has come out, you know, 2 months beforehand. You know, law enforcement, once I went to a class one time, it was an interdiction class, and that class was taught by an Orlando PD. They come all the way up to Georgia to teach it, and they taught us, if we was to get just massive amounts of cash on a traffic stop, to call Homeland Security, and Homeland Security would basically take it over. And we also had a traffic stop one night with the FBI. So anytime we dealt with any of those Homeland Security or the FBI, we learned real quick that you do exactly what they say. We did a raid one night in a house with the DEA, and we're collecting the meth that we found in the walls. And they're like, "What are you doing?" We're like, "We're collecting the meth for evidence." They're like, "No, you're not. Flush it. All we want's the money." When you when you go and do anything with those federal agents, or this is my experience, and from the guys I work with, their experience as well, when you do anything with them, they're not assisting you. You're assisting them.
Which it should be the other way around.
Right.
And in all reality, what it should be is those federal agencies should not even exist.
I agree.
Period.
Yeah.
Right.
They shouldn't even freaking
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Well, I know the Waco situation, obviously that feller was nuts. But like how that all happened with the ATF coming to like serve like a search warrant or something very low level.
Yeah.
But they came in unmarked vehicles without identifying themselves with rifles. And so then the people in Waco shot at them. Like, who the crap is this coming
Yeah.
up on us like
Right.
that? And then once that happened, they got tanks on civilians. They like they brought in tanks, and
Yeah.
their justification was, well, you killed a federal agent. Well, yeah, I killed a federal agent. I didn't know who they were or why they were coming. Like we had, so it's like I think they can twist ATF, FBI. They will find a way to do what they want and justify it. You know what I mean?
Agent can't. So is it legal for agencies, federal or local, to do a no knock raid where they don't announce
It
themselves?
doesn't matter if it's legal.
I mean, you have to have a search warrant.
But if you have a search warrant, you can conduct a legitimate, like clandestine raid upon a house.
In Waco, they were in
Yeah.
horse trailers. They were stacked. There was a bunch of like I think a bunch of federal agents. They were ATF agents stacked in horse trailers, hiding. And they rolled up close to the door of this building, and then all filed out. Like, didn't announce themselves, didn't serve the warrant, just out. And then the other one, I don't remember the name, but the one out west, has been a while back, where they tried to take the land and the
On
people
that BLM land. Yeah.
Yeah. That was some jankety weird crap too. But
Yeah.
that stuff gets,
Yeah, Ruby Ridge was all messed up.
I don't remember which one was that.
That's another big one where they basically were trying to infiltrate some firearms deals, and they basically talked a guy into selling them a sawed-off shotgun, like talked him in, coerced him into doing it. And then when he done, they come up, did it. They come up there and raided his house, and it was just a big bloodbath, just a shootout. You know, he lived way up, I can't remember what state it was. He lived way up in the mountains somewhere.
Bloodbath. Isn't that
Disaster.
what Trump said it was going to be if he didn't get elected?
Ooh, it ain't now, Bubba,
Bloodbath.
because they going to send the assets.
Yeah.
What? But that's always how those things end too.
Yeah.
Like once the FBI or the ATF or whatever's in a standoff, with civilians, you hardly ever have an outcome where a bunch of folks don't get slaughtered.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because they're a government agency. It's like if you ask the DMV to go freaking run something for you, like it's a joke.
Yeah.
I already know what I'm going to do if these
Baby.
agencies ever come after me.
Baby, just take it easy.
You can't stand and fight them. You can't.
Because they'll just keep coming until they kill you.
You can't stand and fight them. Like
Like,
that's
if they want you.
that's a ridiculous notion. Yeah. So I mean, I know realistically what my options are if it ever came down to that, and part of my options is not to let them take me away and subject me to their justice system. But I'm also not going to stand and fight them. So,
Chili, you might be able
man.
to use your go outside and lay prone naked thing if they show up at your house.
I don't like.
all this is happening, man. But look, you know what your options are, dude. Every one of you guys, you know what your options are. All this crap's happening, but when you think about it realistically, you know what your options are.
That's why I don't like conversations like this. People make, and I'm not crapping on the guy who asked this question, but people make such a big deal out of that stuff, and they try to find these little pieces in these little executive orders and pieces of legislation, and it's like, yeah, it all matters and stuff, but does it really? Look, what is written in that? Do you think that if a situation occurred and that wasn't written and in that executive order, that they wouldn't have done that anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
They would do it anyway. It's not like that now just gives them the power to do it. They would have done it anyway. So yeah, that's another step that'll add justification and people, but it doesn't really matter. Like when these things happen, they're going to do what they got to do, period. And I don't say that as speculation. They've done it. I mean, it's they've done it. We're under the illusion that we have some kind of checks and balances on the power that could be levied against us. Not really. Like if they need something done, they'll get it done.
It's just like, well, yeah, Chili. It's just like when Doc Holliday met Johnny Ringo out there in the trees. That's what it's like. It's like, well, yeah, Doc Holliday was going to shoot it out with Johnny Ringo one way or the other. But, you know, he kind of pulled his coat back. He said,
"You look like somebody walked over your grave."
He said, "And now it's legal."
Yeah.
You know, he had that badge on.
Legal.
Yeah. As soon as it was done, though, he took that badge off and put it down. His hypocrisy only goes so far. Yeah, I agree with you, Chili.
The strain was more than he could bear.
Do y'all want to start a
Look.
commune in like Costa Rica or Mexico?
Yeah, it wouldn't be either one of those places. But if you do not have an egress plan to leave this place, along with the resources to do so, that's on you, man.
Was that a spiritual reference or like a physical reference?
No, physical reference.
Okay.
Yeah, like in this reality, like
Where are we going?
I'm not gonna announce my plans on the podcast.
Somewhere hot.
I didn't know we were planning on leaving.
That's always been a plan.
You've never discussed the bug out plan with me.
Well, that's
Somewhere.
because you don't need to worry about it.
He don't trust you.
That's a need to know. That's a need to know basis only. If any of you guys want that plan, by the way, I will actually sell that plan to you for $10,000.
No. $1 million.
$1 million?
That plan's $1 million. Yes, sir.
Okay, let me reassess that then. I'll sell that plan to you for $1 million.
$1 million.
And then I'll just come up with a
This
different. I'll make some adjustments and come up with my own.
boo boo.
plan.
This reminds me a lot of that time that black bear got after us, and you just freaking said, you said, "See ya,
Hey.
lickety split." You just took off running and didn't look back and just left me behind.
Hey, old Chad, he may not be the smartest or the sharpest tool in the shed, but he gonna survive.
He's gonna need you though. Where's my 10 millimeter?
I know he can't garden and he can't find his guns.
Oh man.
He really did leave me when a black bear was after us. Though that's a true story.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it.
That's a very true story. And he left with yellow jackets too. Yep. Well, do you want to
Outstanding.
tell?
That was a good Patreon question.
Patreon, they got it, man.
It's cream of the
They
crop.
get it.
Yeah.
I crapped on it.
Patreon gets it.
I wanted to post a video on Patreon the other day, and Chad wouldn't let me. One of our chickens injured him in his nether region. And I wasn't going to take a video of his nether region, but I just wanted to tell the story of what happened.
Did the rooster do it?
No, it was one of the baby chickens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was bleeding.
Bleeding all over the place.
So you're sitting down there feeding them meal, another savage feast. Another savage feast.
Yeah. Chickens are savage, dude. Chickens are straight up savage.
It was gruesome. What happened was gruesome. And I was going to tell the story about it on Patreon.
Was you doing it nude? Was you doing it nude and they hit you mealworm?
No. No.
That one a little bit thicker than others. Not much, but
You guys, man.
That bomb, son.
Chicken got your mealworm, boy.
Savage feast.
grub.
Baby, if you keep
Did he jump up off the ground?
who? Him
Chad.
or the mealworm?
No, Chad.
No, yeah, he did. He did.
You guys are a mess.
Oh
Well, it's time for the much anticipated Patreon giveaway, man. We've got a lot of stuff that we're getting to give away here. What, $500 from First Form, $200 from Drink Hoist, $500 from Barbell Apparel, which, by the way, this episode is brought to you by our partners at Barbell Apparel. It's getting about jeans season. And if you're looking for a good pair of jeans or long pants or something like that, you should check out not only their jeans, but also their covert pants, which are my personal favorite. Yeah, Chili, what shirt you got on?
Ultralight Tech Tee.
You've been wearing that for a mini year, man.
Many year.
You've been wearing that for a mini year.
Are you wearing?
What you got on your jogger, CB?
Yeah.
CB's got on his,
I don't even know which ones those
those
are.
are the lightweight joggers,
Okay.
I think. Yep.
I did.
Yep. Yeah, they've got a huge selection of not only fitness apparel, but just everyday type stuff, collared shirts, t-shirts, pants, jeans, shorts, you name it. And they've been amazing people to work with and to partner with. And yeah, they contributed $500 to this Patreon giveaway, that's a huge contribution. So Barbell, thank you so much for making this episode possible. You guys check them out at barbellapparel.com. We got a whole goodie bag coming
They-
over from Salty Britches.
Barbell also donated $500. No, $1,000 to the winners of our race.
Holy
Whoa,
crow.
500 each.
That's
Wow.
That's big, son.
Real big.
Yeah, man, they're so awesome.
Yeah.
They're so awesome. And the thing about them is they're constantly trying to innovate. Like they take input from us and other athletes they work with to make their apparel better. And they don't take forever to make it happen. Like they actually put the effort in. And that's why their stuff just continues to get better and better and better over time. Yeah, we've got we're giving away a free spot on the Rite of Passage course in 2025. You'll have your pick of courses with us here at 307 Project. $100 gift card to our store. We got custom frames by our friend Eric Harris, the frame maker. We're going to give those away. Yeah, Timber Hayes Frame Company. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then did I miss anything, Blake?
Doesn't Shea Butler?
Oh, yeah. We got a custom knife by Shea Butler
Yep.
Knives.
Quilt.
Dang, we got a quilt. Bring me that stuff over here. I got to show this stuff as we're giving it away. Hurry up, Chili. This is going to be big.
Don't put that on your greasy head.
Now, of course, the gift card, the gift cards are just going to be they're electronic, right, Blake?
Barbells is not.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. All right.
It's gonna stink now.
Let's start off with this custom made in Illinois from our friend at Shea Butler Knives. Lifetime warranty with a Kydex sheath. You remember which model this is, Blake?
I want to say it's called the
Shea
Reverence.
Butler Knives.
Yeah, that's right.
The Reverence.
There's a hat in there too.
There it is. Got a hat from Shea Butler Knives. There it is. This is a really nice blade. All right, Blake, who won the knife?
The knife is going to Jake Peterson.
Jake Peterson. Man, that's a sweet blade right there, Jake. I'm kind of jealous of that,
There
man.
you go, Jake.
They're going deer season's in, man. That'd make a heck of a skinning knife or a stabbing knife.
Or if you're chilly, a throat slit knife.
Whoa,
And
Bubba.
Corn's going to be reaching out to everybody, right, Corn?
Yeah, yeah. I
at
got
the
all
end.
their emails.
Jake Peterson. All right. Next thing we got here is our box from Salty Britches. We got a hat, got a couple Salty Britches t-shirts in here. And of course, we have another hat and also some skin barrier ointment from Salty Britches. We've been using this stuff for years. We use it all the time. Pretty much every ROP course we put this on. It's very important to have your loins greased up or you're going to be miserable after 5 or 6 hours. All right. So this stuff works. It's tried and true. Again, awesome people. Salty Britches, thank you for contributing this. Blake, who got the stuff from Salty Britches?
Dominic Calderaro.
Dominic Calderaro. Congratulations, Dominic. All right.
That's nothing.
What's it in here?
This Corn's picture hanging stuff.
And Chili's daggone burner phone.
Yeah, he's spread his
Did you put more minutes on that thing or
shrine
what?
out everywhere.
All right, here we go. $500 gift card from Barbell Apparel. Who we got, Blake?
Tanya Bowes.
Tanya Bose, just in time. $500 gift card.
One clap doesn't do anything.
That's awesome, man. $500, man. All right, we got our custom quilt made by our mother. This is the one of one. Don't be a turd. Who got the quilt, Blake?
Like,
Is this custom made? Don't BTQ?
Yeah.
Stephen Crockett.
Stephen Crockett got the quilt. That's what I'm talking about, man. Man, that quilt's gonna be nice, cuddled up on the couch,
Cuzzled.
Why are you looking
reading your Bible, drinking a cup of coffee.
trying to
Fire
find
going.
Oh man,
Fire going.
Just came in off of a deer hunt. Wife just cooked a roast.
Just got back home.
House smells like beef fat.
Just got back home.
Man,
Did he do it again?
No.
Putt.
all right. Next up, we got our set of frames by Timber Hayes Company. Our friend Eric Harris. These are handmade frames. They've served us well over the years. We got a few of them on the wall back here that y'all can't see, but they're handmade. Really amazing workmanship and quality goes into these frames. And this one here, you'll put your own photos in it. And this one here has got a photo in it from us. You can change it if you want, but who got these custom frames, Blake?
Marguerite Evans. She's on Resurrection.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Marguerite. Son, you're going to have to be shipping these overseas. boy.
Australia.
Yeah.
Australia.
Oh, corn.
Come on, man.
Corn.
That's cool. You going to be able to ship that wood overseas? Oh, yeah. And I go through customs, man. Them Australians and New Zealanders, they're tight on their customs.
Are they?
Well,
Oh,
we
yeah.
couldn't have even shipped that to Marguerite if we didn't have this international shipping figured out.
Yeah. Australia. You can put them on the wall.
Oh,
That's
Put
amazing.
them.
What else?
it'll be backwards over there.
You better be glad that didn't spill.
Well, it's yarn.
That's all I got in here, Blake. We've got a $500. This is going to be an e-gift card from First Form.
Yep.
All right. You guys know First Form is one of our partners here at 307 Project, and they have contributed $500 to this giveaway out of their own generosity, right? They didn't have to do this. None of these companies had to do this. We just asked and they rogered up. So $500 from our partner at First Form. Who got that, Blake?
Michael.
Michael
Michael.
who?
He didn't put a last name on Patreon.
All right, Michael.
Corn. What good is that?
Hey, you know, it don't make a lick, son.
Nobody knows who. There's no.
I've got his email.
But
Chili, if you joined Resurrect or Patreon, you wouldn't put your name either.
look, the Michael that won doesn't
You
even
would've
know
just
who
put-
he is
you
right
would've
now.
just put Chili.
There-
He will when I email him.
Oh, jeez.
Outstanding. $500 gift card from First Form.
Yeah.
All
you
right.
trying to tell me you wouldn't have known who Chili was? You know me, Blake.
We've got $100 gift card, e-gift card to the 307 Project store. Blake, who got that?
Sam Francis, the scallywag.
Sam Francis, the scallywag. Sam, congratulations, man. $100 gift card at 307 Project store. What am I missing, Blake?
Jeez, Blake.
Hoist.
Oh
200.
yeah, we got a $200. This is another e-gift card.
Yep.
$200 gift card to our partner at Drink Hoist. If you haven't tried Hoist yet, you're gonna love it. Who got that, Blake?
Derek Larson.
Derek Larson. $200 to Drink Hoist. That ought to get you a good fair amount of hoist there. You're gonna be stocked up for a while, Bubba.
Yeah.
Outstanding. What am I missing? Rob
Wonder
course.
who Michael is.
Yep, that's the last one.
The last one. So we've got a spot on a ROP course team, rite of passage, which is a mission we run here at 307 Project. It's 24 hours of continuous movement through the mountains of Northwest Georgia, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it will change your perspective on what you're capable of. And the unique thing about it is not only you're going to get to do something really, really challenging and ultimately rewarding, but you're going to get to do it with a team, and you're going to leave there with some awesome new people who are part of your life. I can guarantee you that. So who won the spot at a ROP course, Blake?
Dakota Smith.
Dakota Smith.
Dakota Smith.
Hey, don't you know Dakota?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Dakota's
Dakota.
from the basic course, right?
Yeah. Yep. Dakota's done a basic course. He's done an
Alpine trip.
alpine trip. Dang, he's coming on a ROP course now.
Did you do the 307 gift card? Who won that?
The scallywag.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that one.
Sam Francis.
Man, outstanding. Thank you guys so much, Patreon, for contributing your hard-earned money to what we do here at 307 Project. you guys are a huge part of why we are able to be here and do these podcasts week after week and do everything that we do. I mean, you guys are such a big part of it. And when I started Patreon a couple of years ago, I never could have imagined it would have grown into the community that it is now. And I'm just so thankful for it and so thankful for you guys. So it is our honor and our pleasure to be able to give back to a few of you guys in some small way. And just thankful we had the opportunity to do it, and thankful to our partners who also made it possible out of their pure generosity. That's really, really cool. I think it's a testament to the companies that we are partnered with here at 307 Project, that they'll roger up and make these large contributions to a giveaway for our people here at 307 Project. I mean, that's awesome.
It is awesome. And in a big way of showing our gratitude to Patreon, we will soon be posting Chili the Rabbit Sniffer video for Patreon only to see. So
you got that on video?
I do. I still have it. So, and for people that don't know, it is
Oh
a
my
series of
gosh.
images of Chili as a kid with a white rabbit.
There's nothing that tops this.
So we're just so grateful to our Patreon community
They ain't happy about it.
that we're finally ready to show this video to the world, but only if you're on Patreon. So Chili the Rabbit
Nothing
Sniffer
really tops it.
coming to
I
you.
mean, have you seen it, Corn?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Now that you said that, you got to do it.
I'm doing it. Well, Blake's gonna do it.
No, that's not what you said.
No, I don't think Blake's gonna do it.
Blake will do it.
No, I said I would.
You didn't
Well,
say that.
I just did.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's on you now, boo boo. You better make sure that gets up on there.
yeah.
Well, that's a wrap, guys. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. And
Yeah, we did have some super chats.
well, I actually wasn't going to do those today because we just gave away like
You don't have a choice.
thousands of dollars. Oh, I don't. Okay. Well, I'm going to pee real quick.
We had Casey Hughes
This is
come
our
in at
favorite part.
$20.
Who was it?
Casey Hughes. I'd like Chili to study the works of Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge and share his thoughts sometime. Once an application for the 307 courses is submitted, when can an invite be expected if it's been accepted?
Thank you, Casey. You didn't even do it, Corn.
I thought you was going to answer the
no, I'm not
question.
going to answer it. I'll answer it after I say thank you. We'll answer it later. Hold on. Not ready yet. Thank you, Casey. When can an application be expected? That's really hard to say, man. You might put it in and you get accepted 2 weeks later. You may get accepted 2 months later. And it's really just because I've got a crazy system and it's not indicative of your order in the selection priority list or indicative of anything other than that's just kind of the way it rolls, and it's a flurry of emails and I get to them when I get to them. So I would never give up hope on your application, but if it's been several months, you can resubmit. That'd probably help out just to make sure it wasn't lost.
Yeah, man. Dude, I don't think a lot of people understand. Like we're really blessed in the sense of
Maybe they can't see your face.
we're really blessed in the sense of these courses that we run. Well,
Quit
first of
trying to show
all-
people your mealworm, boo.
First of all, we're only able to do a very limited number of courses per year, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of other things that we do. And second of all, because it's so limited, we have hundreds and hundreds of people that apply for these courses. And we want to pick the people who really want to be there because we can't possibly train everybody who would like to come and do a proving grounds or a basic course or a ROP course. So that being said, if you really want to be there, definitely apply multiple times and that will increase your chances of being selected. So that's how that works. I don't know if you already said all that, Chili.
No, it's good.
We had Red Lightning come in at $99.99.
Good night.
Oh,
Say
Thank you, Davis.
Thank you, Red
Thank
Lightning.
you, Davis. Come on, man.
Thank you, Weingartner.
Weingar.
We had Marty
Weiniger. It's
Bingham
Weiniger. He told me that.
come in at $9.99. 1. Chad's accelerated aging indication number 1. Incapacitated by a pickleball competition, followed by assorted aches, pains, and bouts of explosive diarrhea.
It did all that has happened.
Dude, that enough said sign looks good back there, man. I just saw it on the screen right here.
Are you gonna
Marty, you're quite the Patreon star.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Mark.
You're quite the page. Marty's been all over Patreon.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In his overalls.
Marty's quite a unique man. I really love him.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah, that thing will go brighter too.
Yeah, make it brighter. Oh, he don't know how.
Yeah, I do.
No, you got to point it to the. Yep.
It's not doing anything.
Whoa! He hit the button
All right.
and cocked his head like it made it brighter. And
Yeah,
it
that's
didn't.
too bright. It looks better when it's dim. Yeah.
It's got a delay.
He hit it and he went.
Cornbread got that sign for us, guys.
That's nice.
That's 40%. Is that too bright?
I put it on 10%.
Yep.
Did you?
It's what I had it on.
I'd already told you that, Corn.
We had Matthew Turner come in at his 20th super chat at $4.99.
Whoa!
Wow.
I was told last week that I'm being laid off November 1. Between praying and watching 1 Mile Out, I'm trusting God and feeling inspired.
Praise the Lord, man. That might be the greatest opportunity that you experience in your lifetime, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you,
Thank
Matthew.
Marty Bingham come in at $4.99. B. Chad's accelerated aging indicator 3rd. Increased irritability with low tolerance for whippersnappers in the house.
There you go.
A strong case.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have accelerated aging. Marty's a wise man. He is accurate.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
We had Marty Bingham come in at $49.99.
Good
night, Marty.
Marty just running the super chat today, son.
Subsection 105.04.B.6.C.
Paragraph B.
Chad's accelerated aging indication, Roman numeral 3, misplacing items with no recollection of doing it. It's just a matter of time before he mixes up the gas and the brake and drives through the front of the drugstore.
Yeah, you're not too far off, Marty. You know how Marty knows all of this? He's already been through all of this.
Babe, could you be more funny like Marty?
Oh man.
Baby.
No, I can't be like Marty. 100%.
Chad's the funniest person we all know.
Marty is a one of a kind.
Thank you, Marty.
We had Brian Frank come in at $19.99. I don't know why y'all are down on old Tommy J for laying with slaves. Donnie T grabs them by the pee, and then shills still vote for him.
Son.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
That's a good word, man. Yeah. Wasn't Donald Trump buddies with Epstein?
Well, yeah, they had some real estate talks.
Yeah.
Wasn't he buddies with P. Diddy?
You know, that was I was gonna have that be a news segment, and we cut it from the show because I figured you wouldn't contribute. But I wanted to ask you about P. Diddy.
That's too late now.
I figured.
Zach Kirshner come in at
Zach.
$4.99. He said, look up the NTTR. That's my explanation of the monoliths. Pretty interesting here in my backyard. 2.9 million acre, no fly zone.
He is in Vegas.
Yeah.
NTTR.
Chili's on it, Zach.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach.
Tom Russell come in at $20. He said, Chad, I have the RV. I will pick y'all up and haul you to Vegas.
Chad, Tom's got a big RV.
Yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, I'd go to Vegas and look for them monoliths. I'll tell you that.
I'll go.
Well, Tom, I'm trying to get Blake to buy an RV, so we don't need to let him know that we could actually just tag along with you, because then that lessens my argument that we should actually buy an RV.
Tell Tom, y'all take the RV. I'll take that Blazer. to
Yeah,
Vegas.
that's not a Blazer, that's a Suburban. I think.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
Tom
Tom.
Russell come back in at $20. He said, I approve of belt-fed machine guns mounted on my motorhome for the trip, just in case.
There you go. Tom's a man of much wisdom.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
We had Barry Tavis come in at $4.99.
Tavis.
Catch monolith exploration on the next episode of Paranormal Land Cruiser Experience.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, we had to shut Paranormal Land Cruiser Experience down. It started getting a little too dangerous.
Thank you, Tavis.
TJ McLaughlin come in at $9.99. Best podcast for sure. From founding fathers to sphincters, 3 of 7 has your topics covered.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, TJ. Yeah, Paranormal Land Cruiser Experience was kind of like Lord of the Rings, where the dwarves delved too deep, and they actually released that Balrog.
Oh yeah, the Bow Rock.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so we were actually delving too deep in Paranormal Land Cruiser Experience, and we were like right on the verge of tapping and releasing a freaking Balrog.
You
Have
ain't
you
never
seen-
allowed the Bow Rock.
It's an ancient evil.
And what was his name? Gandalf. It was like,
Yeah.
thou shalt not pass.
Yeah, Gandalf warred with him.
Yeah.
Was Gandalf a rich guy or something?
He's a wizard.
So if you want to know the history of the Balrog, you need to read a book called The Similarian. It's the prequel to all of Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Next.
Obvod
Thank you.
come in at $9.99.
Odd bod.
Thank you, TJ.
He said, "No worky, no Edie. Much love from upstate New York."
There you
There you go. We got a brother up in New York.
Thank you, Oswald.
Thank you, Asvab.
That's bad.
Odd bod.
Oswald.
We had Justin Milford come in at $10. He said, Resurrected was absolutely awesome. That time with the body of Christ is my weekly reset. If you ain't on Patreon, fix yourself. Come be a part of this awesome community. I'll see y'all at the MMFC.
There you go.
Oh yeah, thank you, Justin. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I enjoy our time on Resurrected together too, man, for sure.
Thank you, King of Yona.
Kings never die.
That was so funny. What y'all just did.
Kelby Boss Hoss come in at $19.99. We finally have power restored to our home post Milton, thanks to an amazing crew from West Texas. While they were replacing the power pole that snapped in two, I brought them a case of Hoist as a thank you for their hard work.
Oh, that's an awesome story. Thank you so
It's-
much.
That's awesome.
Glad you got your power back on.
Thank you, Kelby.
We had Deplorable Lawn Guy come in at $9.99. Chad and Chili 2024. Don't be a blithering smooth brain.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. I was telling Chili earlier today that video, it started to take off, and then something suppressed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bell Rock.
Nobody wants everybody to see that. Thank you, deplorable long guy.
We had Gatekeeper Radio 347 come in at $20. Abba hears the faithful son, John 17:24. Father, I desire that they also whom you gave me may be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory which you have given me, for you loved me before the foundation of the world.
Good word, buddy.
That's right. Thank you, Gatekeeper.
Good word.
We had Little Virgil come in at $1.99.
Watching.
And,
What's up,
some-
LV?
watching.
What'd he
some-
put?
It's that pear with the headband on it, and it says "cool" above it,
Told
like
you didn't I?
like a pear that's working out.
That's
Yep.
what I allowed. That's
You
what
said
I
that.
I
allowed.
see it.
That's what I allowed
You
this
talked
morning
about
at
that.
breakfast.
I see it right there.
Wow, pearhead.
We had Sooner Guy 44 come in at $3.07. He said, Blake, what would it take for a 6mm arc review? I don't know. I don't know nothing about that.
6
I
mil.
probably
Get
ain't
on-
going to do that.
Get on that, Blake.
Boomer sooner.
I
You
don't
ain't
know
got
about
nothing
that.
else to do. You obviously don't do your job with
Cone
tech
said
gear.
that.
We
Ain't
had
no
Life
love in
with
Oklahoma.
Matt Owens come in at
Thank you, guy.
$1.99. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed week.
Thank you, Matt Owens.
Thank you,
Matt.
Matt.
That is first super chat.
No.
It's got a number 1 by
Yeah.
it. That's pretty cool, Matt. Thank you, man. Congratulations.
Figured you'd chastise him for only giving $1.99.
Yeah,
Garrett come in at $19.99. Said, I love you all, and that's the last one.
we
There
love
you
you
go.
too, Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett.
Could we take a minute to just share like some stories for just a
Oh, my
minute?
Goodness.
Some funny stories.
Of course we can for your beautiful face.
I mean, the podcast just ended.
Come on.
Can we take
it.
a minute to share some stories?
Oh, let's ask YouTube. Do you guys want to take a minute to hear to hear Brooke share some stories?
No, me, not all of us. Not just me.
Not. They said not if it's fart talk, Biscuit.
Well,
But you
piss
did.
on everybody.
You did get some yeses. You got some yeses. So go ahead, lead us through story time.
No, it was going to be like a question
Okay.
where everyone has to respond.
Okay.
All right. That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're up. This
All
is
right,
Biscuit
Corn,
segment.
You're
Is
first.
Is it truth or is it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
The worst time you've pooped your pants. Go.
I knew it.
I've
I
never
knew
pooped
it.
my pants, so it had to be when I was a baby.
Chili.
I've done it as an adult 7 to 13 times, but I don't know what the worst one was. Probably. There was a string of 3 weeks where I did it once a week. I did it 3 times in a month, all while running. And I have shorts with liners on. Okay. And once was at the track, once was on a trail system, and once was at this park that I ran on the roads a lot. And it was the third one. And I had already done it twice in the month. And on the third time, I was having a spell where I had to crap every time I started to run. I wouldn't have to, and then I'd get 5 minutes in, and I'd get hit hard. And call me whatever you want, weird. I could not stop and take a crap. I'd already started my run. By gosh, I was going to finish it. And so by that point, I had just resigned myself to, if that was going to happen again, I'm just going to quit dealing with it. I'm just going to start crapping myself. The first 2 times were more or less kind of just happened. And then the third time I just said, I'll just do it. So I was a mile in, 10-mile run that day. And I just said, yep, here it comes. And I just started crapping. Well, your shorts with a liner only hold so much. And I had, and I was eating about 5,000 calories at the time. So it was a load. And it started like that liner filled up and started swinging back.
Like a diaper.
Yeah.
Weight to it.
And then started coming down the sides and rolling down my legs.
Must have been moist.
Yeah, and I had socks that were above the ankles, like had a little height to them. And I watched it creep towards them socks. And I was like, freaking crap, man. And then
No pun intended.
and then it got into the socks, and I just said, well, screw it, whatever. So I finished the run, and I was at this little park that had these public restrooms with showers, and I ran. Once I was finally done, then I was allowed to stop and walk, and I walked over to the bathrooms, and I got in the shower.
You were allowed to stop and walk.
I allowed myself,
Disqualified.
You can get DQ'd if you walk. And I went into the showers, took my shorts off, just left them in there. And then just, kind of took me a shower. Had a rash on my legs from where the freaking crap had rubbed on my legs. And then I called Dad, and he came and got me and brought me a towel in there so I could walk out to the car. Anyway, that was the worst one. Corn?
Yeah.
Corn said he never crapped his pants.
Never had.
What?
Corn will crap on and in objects before he'll crap his pants.
This is really the after show here. I mean, the show's already over, and now we're talking about crapping my pants. And I just gave you a full story.
I loved it. But I
Anyway.
am curious why you wouldn't just take the mesh and kind of fling it upside down and just dump the load and then keep running.
Damage was
Then you
done.
get it on your hands.
Yeah.
You don't
No.
wanna do that.
Oh, 100% you do. You ain't going to touch it.
What if you touch the outside of the mesh?
Mm-mm.
Its juices are leaking through.
Yeah.
What about you, babe?
Well, all right, enough said.
The worst time I crapped my pants was just the other day, but I think you should also differentiate the difference between crapping your butt and crapping your pants, because many times I have crapped my butt, and that's when you just when you think you're gonna fart, but it's not a fart, and you just crap out a little bit, and it's contained in your butt, and it doesn't actually get on your pants.
He's never done that.
Yeah, I've crapped my butt many times.
He's never done that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can stop it in time,
He's
it
never done
won't. It will not escape your butt cheeks. That's why God gave you butt cheeks, is to contain your crap.
But your butt cheeks don't meet. So
Yeah,
how
they
does
do.
that work?
They
No,
do.
babe. I've seen you
Oh.
naked for a long
I gotta
time,
pee too.
and they don't meet. There
Right.
is no connection.
They meet enough for me to crap my butt. But the worst time I crapped my pants was the other day when I crapped I was standing in the kitchen. We were getting ready to drive up to Bowling Green. I was making a smoothie and I crapped all over myself, tracked it through the house, everything.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me you got it in the house.
Oh yeah, tracked it through the house and everything.
You lie.
Yep. Straight
Where'd
up.
you get it in the house?
All the way through the house, all the way from the kitchen to the bathroom.
He
You're
told he
lying.
told us that when he got
You are
to the lakes.
lying.
Yeah, I had to clean it up, but
You got it on
Yeah.
the rugs?
no, I made sure I stayed off the rugs.
That's
Yeah.
nasty.
Yep.
No wonder we both had the squirts for a week.
Yeah,
you gave
that's
us
why
E.
you got
coli.
sick, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's disgusting.
Not a mystery.
Well, what about you, Blake?
I've never crapped my pants.
Ever?
I mean, as a kid, probably.
Well, I just learned that I also haven't crapped my pants in a long time, but I have crapped my butt recently. So
Wow.
that's pretty much it.
Was that the end of your segment?
Yeah, that's the end of it.
All right. That was a good segment, baby. Thank you for your bringing your beauty and your humor and your magnificent joy into this room, saving me from a very bad mood that Blake put me in because he didn't do his job. And I owe my whole day and so much gratitude to you. I love you so much. Enough said.